one of the beautiful things about this film is that not only are you guys dealing with racial equality, but also about, sexual equality and male, female. It's such a complex film. Ruth, you bring the old world, the African world, and you blend it in with the future. Tell us about the responsibility of creating this world.
Yeah, it created a wonderful possibility. First, we were given this continent that is a vast resource artistically, and then we were guided through where all the tribes from Wakanda would be inspired by, and we were highly inspired to present this Wakandan world in its regal way and as at the highest level that we could create it and rewrite some of the wrongs about when we think of Africa and cultures. We usually think of one big general place, and we were able to dissect that and say, here's the Dogon tribe that we'll use as our inspiration for the Jabari. Here's the Maasai or the Turkana tribe that we'll use as our inspiration for the Dora, and so on and so forth. And we were very clear about what direction we were going in so that we could all meet at the same place and have the same mindset about it all.
And pardon me to ask you this completely geeky question, but I adore the color coding that you did in this film with the costumes. Blue, there is a sort of a negative kind of masculine connotation to it.
Sure.
And the female warriors are wearing bright red, and Lupita, this earthy character, is wearing green.
Very observant. Very good.
Can you tell us?
Well, that all came from Ryan Coogler. He was our leader on this color coding, as you say. And there was a reason for it. So we wanted the blue to represent, the authority, and the red to represent the Dora. And we heightened the red so that if you saw 3 Dora, it felt like 6, and that their costume would feel like regal and royal and bright and beautiful. So there was a color theory. The river tribe, which was Lupita's tribe, was green. And so we didn't really cross those colors into one another if you were coming from another aspect. So it was very deliberate.
And then, Letitia, how does it feel she dressed you in this sort of Afro-punk, princess?
Yes. We were literally having a conversation about that just outside. That every time I walked into Ruth's fittings, because before I wasn't really keen on dresses, you see, and I'll be like, I don't have hips, and I don't feel I don't feel,
It's not my character.
Yeah,
it's not who I am.
And she's like, hold on, and she would bring in this amazing team and have amazing fabrics and colors and just things that were so bright and beautiful and just showcased Shuri's personality on the outside. And she would make them fit my body and be like, oh, I got a hip. But that's what's so beautiful about Ruth's way of doing things, because she applied herself to the needs to everybody's character. So she knew exactly what we needed and what would make it. We didn't want to feel costumey. It had to feel like this is our everyday thing. And it had to feel connected to our characters, and that's exactly what she did. So that allowed me to play and have fun because I knew I looked fresh, and it was just,
And she didn't want anything too traditional because of her character. She says, "Come on, people, can we get on with this?" So we kept that in mind, and we really wanted to use color and fabric to tell her story without using too much traditional accents.
What I found extraordinary about, the story of the wardrobe in this movie is that, one, if you think about what is Wakanda, it's this place in Africa that people didn't know about, that it's ancient, it's untouched, it hasn't been conquered. And so there's this sense when you look at the wardrobe that there's a dispersion of ideas from this place. So in a sense, we're not just pulling from these places or ethnic groups that exist in real life, but in fact, those ethnic groups come from Wakanda. And so there's a unity in the wardrobe that you created. It's not appropriation of those ideas. It's basically using the idea of the fantasy of it all came from there. And so when you look, it's the opposite. And so when you look at the wardrobe, it's, I see a lot of times that period pieces are elevated and are, put on a pedestal as far as this is being difficult. This is more difficult than that. Because it's more, because you in a period piece, you're picking from history. This is what they wore at that time. This is what they wore during this time. This wardrobe design is a creation. You're creating the culture of this people, pulling from all of the history throughout Africa. It's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. And in fact, that the idea of it is a weaving and a sewing in and of itself. So,
and to show them in a more prosperous way, in a more forward-thinking way, and what better platform to do it on, Marvel, and the resources and the support of that, so that we could explore it all the way out and really see what things could be like.